it's Diane the Nursing Geek, and I am here today to give a bit of an overview of my academic bullet journal. This is actually take 2. I got all the way to uploading a version of this to YouTube last week, and when I went to edit my captions, I discovered that I had managed to do something completely horrible to the sound. I couldn't even figure out what I was saying. So, lesson learned there. Whatever I did, don't do it again. And it had gotten kind of long anyway, so redoing. You'll notice I'm not using the desk view this time. The last one that I did using desk view, I mean, it was watchable, I think, but it needs a lot of improvement. I probably need different equipment. So, for today, it's going to be very much just an overview and me holding up my academic bullet journal. So what does it mean to have an academic bullet journal? Well, that probably depends on whether you're a student or a teacher. I will link below several bullet journalists from kind of each category, because I follow a couple of bullet journal bloggers who do student-centric academic spreads and things. One who I think is she's teaching at what we would call the secondary level, although she's in another country, so I don't think they use that terminology. And one who is in post-secondary ed. So there's all sorts of ways you can do bullet journaling to do with academics. What you want to keep track of if you're a student versus what you want to keep track of if you're an instructor are going to be very different things. And how people use an academic bullet journal varies widely. I do not do any day-to-day planning in my academic bullet journal. That I keep all in my personal bullet journal, because having just my day-to-day to-dos all in one place is an important ingredient in maintaining my mental health. And this, for me, is more about, it's really more trackers than anything else. Trackers and collections of information. Because when you are working in post-secondary education, at least here in the States, and I presume in whatever form this is done elsewhere, it's probably fairly universal, that you need to document your teaching, you need to document your scholarship, and you need to document your service. And I think I recall hearing another blogger use a different term for the service piece in another country, and I don't remember what that is. But she will be linked below, Ellie Mackin-Roberts. So if you're looking for the UK perspective, that you will find it from her. But here, those are the 3 components of an academic job: teaching, scholarship, service. And when you come up on certain landmark reviews, you have to be able to document what you have done. And I have seen people rip their hair out in the midst of preparing for their year 3 eval, and I don't want to be that person. I would rather have everything organized already. So, done a number of things in here. I'm just going to do a quick overview, and then maybe I'll break down a couple of the spreads separately, so that this doesn't turn into something way too long. I would like to keep it under 10 minutes. I did go for the A4 size, partly just because that feels more like a ledger type size to me, and that's how I'm viewing it, but also because of some of the things that I'm tracking in it. No, there is no particular need to draw out the entire academic year's calendar. This was me just trying to actually do something so that I would stop treating this like it was sacrosanct and couldn't be touched. I was photocopying blank pages and using pencil even on the photocopied pages to map out spreads, and then I decided this is ridiculous, I need to just start using it, and so I did. I figured get at least something in there, and then it won't feel quite like I can't touch it without it being perfect. I have sort of a workflow map. People are forever asking you to get involved in different projects, and I have a distinct tendency to say, yes, sure, that sounds wonderful. I'm learning to say, that sounds incredibly interesting. I wish I had the time. And one of the ways for me to do that is to look and see, okay, just exactly how chaotic is my schedule during the time that this thing I'm being asked to do would take place. I also have a time log. So for those 3 things I just said, teaching, scholarship, service, this is not about, it's not even really about time in the sense that you would keep a time sheet. I don't care what hours were used for any of these, but I do want to have some idea of the proportion of time I'm spending between each of those things, and admin, the stuff that doesn't fit anywhere else, basically. So that's what I've got here. Teaching summary. You do need to be able to write up a summary of your teaching, and that includes some key comments from student evals and your planned response to them. For example, if someone says, you know, I really didn't understand anything about the point to this assignment, well, then that tells me I need to change how the assignment is presented so that people understand why they're doing it. It's certainly not just to give them more to do and me more to grade. No. There is an objective of some kind, and if that's not clear, I'm going to work on making it clearer, and I'm going to document that that's what I'm doing so that I can include that in my long narrative teaching summary later on. Professional development, just keeping track of any workshops, seminars that I attend, largely on campus so far. As I am working on planning our Healthcare in Iceland program this year, I figured I could use some spreads to keep track of all of that. And obviously I covered over people's contact information. These 2 spreads, I know exactly who I can credit them to because I actually wrote it down for myself. Both of these I copied almost exactly from Ellie Mack and Roberts, and the video that I copied these from is the one I will link below. One is a professional reading log, so I can keep track of what articles I've read, and any collections that they may relate to. For example, if I end up deciding to just write a summary page of articles, then that I would link back to there. Just so I can keep track of what I've read. I'm sure even if whether you're a student or an instructor, you've run across the, oh wow, that sounds like a really great article. You read through it, this looks a little familiar. You get to the end, yeah, I've read this before. Trying to avoid that. Author stats tracker, I'm trying to make sure that I am listening to diverse voices in my field. I think I'm going to need to tweak this a little bit so that it fits better the type of reading and the type of information that I want to capture, or try to capture. And just more attempts at project trackers of different kinds. And a rather different than you've probably seen in any bullet journal video, YouTube tracker. Because, as I've mentioned, the main objective I have in doing these videos right now is to improve my video skills. I am teaching an online course. I expect to be teaching more online courses, and the videos that I have right now, they're serviceable, but they're pretty basic and I would like to improve my skills. So I'm keeping track of not how many views or any of that type of thing. I'm keeping track of what new skill did I attempt to use and how did it go. So desk view needs improvement. Needs a lot of improvement. And really first try on the academic bullet journal flip through, that needs an F, because that was just complete, it couldn't even be used. So that's just my quickie overview. I will probably do other like 10-minute-ish videos down the line that break down some of these. Hopefully once I have obtained the necessary equipment to do a decent desk view, because that is just easier to follow and it's what people are used to looking at bullet journals in that format. Boy, was that a convoluted sentence. Anyway, that's it for now. There are probably going to be 2 videos going up this week because of the fact that this one was really last week's video. So I will see you probably in another couple of days. Bye.